used to believe marriage was about love, compromise, and patience. I believed that if you tried hard enough, stayed kind enough, and gave enough of yourself, everything would eventually work out. That's what I told myself when I married Michael. I didn't know then that love without boundaries slowly turns into silence. Michael and I met in our late 20s. He was calm, dependable, the kind of man who never raised his voice. I mistook that for emotional maturity. He made me feel safe, at least at first. When he proposed, I said yes without hesitation. I believed I was choosing a partner who would stand beside me, no matter what. His mother, Carol, was polite when we were dating. She smiled, asked questions, and always reminded me how lucky I was to have her son. I ignored the subtle tension in her tone, the way her eyes lingered on me like she was measuring something. I told myself I was overthinking. After the wedding, everything changed. Carol became a constant presence in our lives. She had opinions about everything, how I cooked, how I dressed, how I spoke to Michael. She disguised criticism as advice and disrespect as concern. "I'm just trying to help," she'd say, while pointing out everything I was doing wrong. Michael rarely intervened. When I brought it up, he brushed it off. "She doesn't mean it like that. You're being sensitive. She's just old-fashioned." Those words hurt more than her comments ever did, because they taught me that my feelings were inconvenient. Slowly, I began to shrink. I stopped expressing opinions at family gatherings. I laughed off insults to keep the peace. I told myself that this was what marriage required: sacrifice, patience, endurance. Then came the day I'll never forget. It was a Sunday lunch at Carol's house. She had spent hours cooking, and everyone knew better than to question her meals. At least, that's what I learned too late. I made an innocent comment, just a suggestion about seasoning. The room went quiet. Carol looked at me with a tight smile and said, "In my house, we respect the cook." Before I could respond, she lifted the bowl of hot soup and threw it at me. The heat burned my skin. The shock stole my breath. But worse than the pain was the silence that followed. No one moved. No one defended me. I looked at Michael, waiting for him to stand up, to shout, to protect me. He didn't. He simply said, "Mom, that wasn't necessary." Not wrong. Not unacceptable. Just unnecessary. That moment shattered something inside me. I realized that the problem wasn't just my mother-in-law. It was the man who allowed her to humiliate me without consequence. Love that doesn't protect you is not love. And marriage without partnership is just loneliness with witnesses. The days that followed were heavy. Carol never apologized. Instead, she told relatives I had disrespected her. Michael asked me to let it go for the sake of family peace. But there was no peace inside me anymore. I began questioning everything: my choices, my worth, my silence. I wondered when I had learned to tolerate behavior I would never accept from anyone else. Therapy helped me understand the truth I had been avoiding. I had confused endurance with strength. Leaving wasn't easy. It meant accepting that love alone wasn't enough. It meant admitting that the future I imagined wasn't real. But staying would have meant losing myself completely. So I left, quietly, without drama. I packed my things and walked away from a life where my voice had become optional. Healing took time. I relearned how to trust my instincts, how to speak without apologizing, how to recognize red flags hidden behind tradition and family values. Today, when people ask me what I wish I had known before marriage, I tell them this: watch how your partner handles conflict, especially when it involves their family. Notice whether they defend you when you're not in the room. Pay attention to whether you feel stronger or smaller over time. Because marriage doesn't create character. It reveals it. And real love never asks you to accept disrespect to prove your loyalty.